It's Friday afternoon in Sydney, and that means it's time for Friday Beers with Marc and Stuart. I'm Stuart Roberts.
I'm Marc.
And we're the founders of Pitt Street Research. And as you can see, we're back to our usual digs. The government has said it's okay to go out from your home again. And as part of our effort to rebuild the Australian economy, we're out there in force.
And it's really busy, as you can see, in our usual watering hole, as always. So it's good for social distancing.
Right.
So, yeah.
So, Marc, we've been coming through uncertain times. We might even have a recession, is what the people, the experts are saying.
Yeah. Look, it's not a question mark anymore. I think we will have a recession.
Right.
And speaking of recessions...
Yes. I was hoping you wouldn't go down.
No, we made a bet, and this is it's more than a year ago.
Yep. 15th of February, 2019, yeah.
Yeah. So have a look at this clip.
So my sense of it is things are pretty tight. The most recent GDP is growing at 3%, and that frankly had everyone surprised.
And I guess the benefit for Australia is you can always migrate yourself out of troubles, right?
Right.
Just get more migrants in.
Right.
More spending.
Right.
So it's one of the benefits for Australia as a country.
Right.
Similar to Canada or the US.
Right. So I mean, look, no economy is foolproof. But I'm getting the sense that 2019 is not the year. So I've bought my sunscreen here. I think the sun is fairly.
You're willing to put a bet on that? Maybe it might not be this year. It might be next year. 2020.
Okay.
Recession in 2020. How about that?
If we get to a recession in mid 2020, then I will dance Gangnam Style.
Oppan Gangnam Style.
In my Tony Abbott budgie smugglers in front of the Stock Exchange
right.
building down on Bridge Street.
I'll drink to that.
You willing to shake on that?
Yeah,
all right, good. Yeah, okay.
So you remember that one, Stu?
Regrettably, I do. Now, I don't actually have a pair of Tony Abbott budgie smugglers.
Oh, we'll get them for you. Don't worry.
But I can actually practice my Gangnam Style. So stay tuned for the big Gangnam Style performance in front of the Stock Exchange in my budgie smugglers.
Now, the question is for our viewers, if you want to see Stu in budgie smugglers at all. So we can put it up here on Friday Beers at some point in June or July. But I can imagine there's quite a few people that are they'll just believe me on my word when I say you did the Gangnam Style on Bridge Street. So anyway, something to look forward to or not, depending on...
Well, we're talking about pain. Let's talk about PainChek. New research out from Pitt Street Research. It's an update of a note that we put out in late 2018. This company is growing like topsy, thanks to an app that can image a person's face, where they're not able to describe the kind of pain they're feeling and come back with an accurate pain score. It won't surprise you to learn that app's being applied in nursing homes in a big way.
Right.
And I think COVID-19 is actually helping there, given some of the more important outbreaks of the disease has been happening in aged care. As part of an aged care quality effort, you're seeing aged care groups subscribing to this. They're growing at about a 50% annualized rate. So watch out. This company is headed for big things.
Yeah, and we had WhiteHawk. We published a report on WhiteHawk. Well, not with this sludge. Just tasted it. It's disgusting. Typical English beer, or what is it?
It is English beer. We'll talk about that in a moment, yes.
It's not only room temperature.
Right.
It's brown. It's just, you can have mine. I never thought I'd say this, but I'll go for a Heineken. WhiteHawk, so a company that's developed a very interesting platform to help enterprises, governments, but also small and mid-sized companies with cyber risk mitigation on a SaaS platform, so SaaS revenue model, so recurring revenues. Really interesting. The report is out on our website. Have a look.
Right. But the big news of this week is Shaver Shop. You can read all about it in yesterday's edition of Stocks Down Under. We wrote it up fairly positively, and pretty much as soon as we published, the stock was up 40%.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
More buyers than sellers, is what they say.
Look, I've looked into this. You would have seen right around the world, there's been a trend towards more men wearing beards. Shaver Shop is obviously, as its name implies, a seller of all sorts of personal grooming equipment.
Silky smooth.
I can say that I actually have been a Shaver Shop customer in the past. I bought my Braun electric razor from Shaver Shop.
Right.
Now, this retail platform is genius. It's mostly bricks and mortar, but the stores are very small. So the amount of merchandise crammed into a very small place means I think it's got one of the higher levels of asset turnover within the business.
Right.
But what they've seen since this lockdown is people are not going to their usual hairdressers to get their to get their grooming done. They're doing it at home using tools they bought from Shaver Shop.
Right.
So revenue growth has been shooting the lights out on this one since this crisis started.
And they've been bringing back, or buying back, I should say, the franchises.
Right.
So they've got more control over the look and feel of these shops.
Yes.
So it's they've got more control over the entire operation,
Right.
basically.
I mean, look, it's proof to me. I mean, we've talked about this before. Bricks and mortar is not dead yet. There's a heck of a lot more where that came from, so long as the marketing and the kind of usage for it is a little bit clever.
Yeah, absolutely.
And obviously it's clicks and mortar because they're growing pretty strongly online as well.
So have a look at that one. We published that yesterday in Stocks Down Under. And of course, there's plenty more where that came from in terms of nice ideas, investing ideas.
All right. But now it's time for Good Cop, Bad Cop.
Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you?
So PushPay, ASX code PPH. It's a company not everyone knows, but you'll be hearing a lot more of it in the future. This company is a $1 billion company on ASX at the moment. Originated in New Zealand. And they've developed a donor management system, an app basically that can allow people to contribute seamlessly to not-for-profits on their mobile devices.
Right.
It was the brainchild of a couple of guys in New Zealand who were quite religious. One of them was in church one day and asked the question, how is it possible that I can buy a song on iTunes easily, but I can't contribute to the collection plate without a whole lot of hassle electronically? So they created PushPay to solve that problem. A few years later, they've now got 11,000 clients, many of them churches around the world who are using it. The growth is shooting the lights out. It's growing about 30% a year. Yeah, so the valuation looks a bit steep to some. It's on an EV to EBITDA of about 22 times FY21 earnings, expected earnings.
Right.
But the growth is shooting the lights out, and there's more where that came from. There are 300,000 churches with an average membership of about 500 people in the US, and most of them are yet to discover PushPay. But their time has come. The churches are closed. They're looking for new ways to make budget. This is the best way to do it.
Right. Well, let me play devil's advocate.
Literally.
So look, I'm not too fussed about the valuation. I mean, if you look at the EV/EBITDA, some might consider it high, above 20.
Right.
But if you look at EBITDA growth for 21, which starts in July,
right,
you're looking at a doubling basically, and the year after it's about 20% growth. So. Right. I'm not too fussed about the valuation. That's all good. My concern is that the founders have stepped down.
Right.
So you've got new management, external management that's come in. So they may have, PushPay may have lost a bit of its startup mojo.
Right.
Which is, usually sort of a gradual transition to more.
This has been relatively swift. Like they've only been a public company for a few years now. Yeah.
Yeah. So that could be a concern.
Right.
Where you've got more conservative people in the driver's seat now. And if you look at payment methods in general,
right.
It's not PushPay doesn't have a position or a technology which is unique, right? So it can be copied, it can be other technologies that exist right now, like credit card type payments, it could be modified for this sort of thing. So I think if someone else sort of jumps on this bandwagon, one of the bigger players, PushPay could be in a lot of trouble in terms of future growth, that is. So. And then if you look at the valuation, then you could say, well, with all these sorts of effects coming into play at a certain point, it might be expensive. The growth rates in the future years might be lower than people are expecting now because someone else is coming into their turf.
Now, of course, we've seen if a high growth company like that misses its analyst forecasts, suddenly the stock gets sent to hell, basically.
Yeah.
Right.
So anyway, that's two sides of this story.
Right.
And only time will tell.
All right. So I'm going for $10. What's your target price in this one?
Well, I think it might hover between 5 and 7 for a while.
Okay.
Given that it's sort of, in terms of valuation, there might be a bit more upside, but I think for now, it's had quite a nice ride, and usually you see a bit of consolidation. And of course, this week the market is sort of stabilized or come off a little bit.
Right.
Especially high beta stocks will usually then sort of come off a little bit. So
all right.
I expect a bit of consolidation in the next coming weeks.
All right. Let's see what they like. Now, let's talk about this great beer we've just been drinking, which you didn't like, obviously.
Horrible. I don't like my beer warm.
Right.
And I don't like it brownish.
All right. So they've obviously used very dark malts. This is a Broadside from Adnams, which is a UK brewer based in Suffolk.
That explains it.
Yeah. So English have unusual taste in beer. Now I didn't mind this one too much. They used a British hop called Kent Gold, I think it was. And I think the hops was okay, but the malts didn't do it for me. Now you're drinking Piedmont Rye IPA,
that's a lot better.
Right, so that's a 6.5% alcohol by volume. The rye beer is obviously a lot easier on the taste than the usual malts that you get. I don't know what the hops are on that one, but energetic little brewery for I suspect will grow quickly on the strength of that one.
Right. So what's this boat doing on this bottle here?
So they've called it Broadside, commemorating the Battle of Solbay. So Solbay is where the brewery is. It was the site of the Battle of Solbay, which was the key naval engagement of the Third Anglo-Dutch War of 1672.
Did we win it?
You did.
I mean that battle?
That battle is inconclusive.
Then don't mention the war.
But you did win the Anglo-Dutch War of 1672 to 74.
Right.
And yeah, we're willing to kiss it and make up for all the guys you sent to the bottom of the ocean.
And this is how they repay us.
On that note, investors, have a great end of recession, and here's to the recovery that's coming.
Cheers.
See you later.